You've got your testimonies. You know that you're going to share them multiple times in multiple places. And you've even taken the time to, if not coach your people through how to write their story using the definitive testimony framework, but you at least have your testimonies that showcase the transformation of God. I don't think there's such thing as a badly written testimony. All testimonies are good and can be used for good. I just think that there is a way we can clarify it to give it maximum communication possibility, if that makes sense. So the best places to post your testimonies, let me run through some of the places that we already know. Okay. You can share them in service. I love when we're editing service videos and we see a shot where someone comes up that's not the pastor to share their testimony. One of my favorite things to see on a church live stream or a church service recording. Okay. We know you can share them from stage. We know you can share them in the classroom. Easy, right? A lot of churches don't put them on their website, so let's start there, okay? It is starting to catch on, which I'm very happy, but not enough churches put their own testimonies or stories of God on their church website. So you've got to put it on your website, okay? If you go and look at any other e-commerce store or website that's not a big brand, a big box brand, whatever, you're going to see testimonials. Any weight loss product, you're going to see testimonials. Even like bed sheets, go to Brook Linens, you'll see testimonials. These are the softest sheets ever, right? This worldly garbage has testimonials. Our websites actually matter to people's eternal livelihood. So let's put our testimonials on our church website. Where do you put them on your church website? Number one, put it on your homepage. It's your most visited. I think based on our latest data, 87% of your traffic to your website is going to land on your homepage first. Let's give them a testimonial. Where on your homepage? Probably not the first thing, most likely the second thing. If you make a claim, right? This is a place where you can work out your faith. This is a place where you are welcoming. You need to be able to back that up as soon as they decide to scroll down and say, okay, now I'm going to check this place out. And when you have, instead of you talking, someone else sharing evidence that you are welcoming, evidence that God loves you, evidence that you're focused on people or Christ-centered, that's when you need to put that there. Number two, second thing on the homepage. Make it obvious. If you have a plan a visit page, if you are doing a I'm new, plan a visit, join us on Sundays, whatever that page is that we have, testimony should be there, right? Again, it's reinforcing the decision I've made to plan a visit. Okay. I'm not talking about that little widget you put on your site. A fly got in here. Sorry if you're watching the video. Deal with it. If you're using the widget, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an actual page on your website where people can see what to expect. That's the other one I was thinking of, what to expect page. What to expect on Sundays, you should have testimonies there. It's a great place to see the kind of people that I'll see. It's a great way to validate the decision I've made to check out, oh, what can I expect? Oh, look, more stories of life change. There's actually something coming around here. It almost kind of subconsciously or very subtly tells me what to expect. Expect transformation and life change, just like these people. I love to have ministry-specific testimonies on the ministry pages. If you've got a kids page, if you've got a youth page, it's a little bit tougher on the kids page. You might have testimonies of parents, but on the youth page, you'll put testimonies of like, dude, I thought high school was it. God's it, right? Whatever those stories are, put them there. Small groups page. If you've got a missions page, put stories of what you've done or what God's done through your church. And these can be written testimonials. They can also be video. They both have their pros and cons, okay? Or actually, they both have their own unique pros. I don't want to say there's a con to either one of them. Text is a pro because you can read it anytime, right? And you can scan it and be on your way. Video has a pro because you can actually tell the story in depth. I can actually be more engaged with it. And it's good because it keeps people on your site longer, which is a positive signal to Google to rank your website higher. So they're both, obviously both are good. They're just good for different reasons. All right. If you have enough videos, this is a good problem to have. And you're like, man, where do I put all these videos? Make a testimony playlist in your media page. If you have a media page or a sermon page, make a playlist of just testimonies on that page. And then people can go watch, if they so choose, they can go binge your testimony videos. I love that. Number two that you're probably already doing but not doing enough is your social media. Okay. I love seeing stories on social media. You don't share them enough, meaning don't share one story and then never share it again. You can share the same story at least 4 times a year on your social media, right? Ideally, you're not just copy pasting it. Maybe one is a text, one is a screenshot of like the email they sent you. One is a nice, I use sovisual.co for my, like if I want to take text and turn it into an image, looks really nice. So you can do an image like that, maybe a different image. I mean, you could throw it into Canva and come up with 100 different ways to make that story look good in a graphic, right? And then maybe one of them is a video. You can share it multiple times throughout the year on multiple platforms. Just because you see it share a story on Instagram doesn't mean they'll see it on Facebook. All right. And if you have video, TikTok, Reels, YouTube, you don't have to get the camera on that person to share the story. That's ideal. But you can just share that story as a pastor, right? How many times have I shared to you that redemptive story of AA, or God through the church through AA, right? You heard it from me. So pastor, church leader, you can share that story, especially if the person wants to be anonymous. This is great for benevolence, by the way, right? If you have a benevolence ministry, a ministry that helps people get clothes for interviews, put gas in their car, get bus tickets to family funerals, whatever that looks like, right? Food on the table, maybe. Obviously, you're not going to get video of these people telling their story. You can get video of your volunteers telling the stories that they've witnessed. So don't let that stop you from sharing these stories on social media via video. I think that's a powerful thing. In fact, even on my own TikTok, I shared 2 of my favorite clients' stories. It's just me talking to TikTok, but I'm sharing that story, that testimony. And then on social media, at least once a week, should you be sharing a testimony. This is part of my Beast formula. I'm putting together a training on it, but if you just search Justin Navi, you might find it from some interviews I've done with other people. At least once a week, you should be sharing a testimony. Again, this doesn't have to be a life-changing redemption, like, oh, this is the best testimony ever. It could just be something God's done in your church, right? It sounds stupid to say it that way. Can I be honest? It's just something God's done in your church. Man, what has God done in your church? Sent a missionary. Healed someone, provided when you didn't think provision was coming. Someone wrote a big check to the church, right? I know we're kind of hesitant to share stuff like that, but that's huge. It means someone looked at the money they had and said, instead of me hoarding it or me spending it selfishly, I'm going to give it to church to make a greater impact. I think that's cool. I like that story. But every church is uniquely equipped to uniquely reach a unique group of people. And if you think that kind of story is not going to reach that people that you want to reach, don't share that kind of story. Instead, just share what you're doing share the end result of what you did with that money, right? I think that's fine too. So you can, any kind of story you can share once a week. And so if you think about it, you only need 90 stories and you've got a whole year's worth of testimony because you're going to share each one of them. I'm sorry, not 90. That's 90 days and 3 months. How many weeks are in a quarter? Was 52 divided by 4? Somebody help me out. 13. You only need 13 stories and you're good for the whole year. Because you're going to share one a week and you're going to share that one multiple times a year. And if you get up to 20, great. Then you only need to share them twice a year. But now you can share them on other platforms. You see what I'm saying? That's social media. Let me share with you the 2 that I don't see churches doing enough. And one of them is going to be so powerful for getting to the people that are lost that don't even know that they don't know you. You notice I spent a lot of time talking about the people that don't know you. Those are the most important people because they don't know you exist. Email for your own internal use at the church, right? Such an important thing. You're already bothering your people through email with your newsletter. Why not bother them with a story of grace and salvation or something that God's done? We bother them with prayer requests. Let's bother them with a praise. So anytime you collect a testimonial, email it to your congregation. Say, hey, look, this is what God's done. This is what God did at camp. This is what God did at VBS. This is what God did this past week in our church. This was something we didn't know that God was going to do. We trusted an unknown to a known God, and look what happened. It gives your congregation more stories to tell of things that are happening in your church. And you don't have to rely on an algorithm to hopefully show it to them. You can just give it directly to them through an email. Or if you have an email list of people that have come to your events and you're using it, they're warmed up, send it to them. The last one is my favorite that we're going to talk about today. It's not the last place you could share, but it's the last one we're going to talk about today. And that is in your Google profile. Okay. When you search for your church, or when you search for churches in your area, before any website result, your Google profile is going to show up. And that's going to be listed under a section called Places. Okay. It also shows up when people search for your listing in Google Maps or Apple Maps. That listing that shows up for your church or other churches is your Google profile. And this is also where people leave reviews of your church. And this is specifically what I'm talking about. Because when people are searching for churches and they hit your Google profile, whether it's in the local places or whether it's in the maps result, and they look at your reviews, this is primo real estate for you to share God's stories and your testimonies to people who are lost and will never visit your website, never visit your social media, never get your emails, but they will see this. This is my favorite place to share testimonies with lost people that don't even know that they don't know you. And it's free, right? So, if I'm searching for a church, again, just like the story I told you, I'm going to search for it on Google, just like I would search for a burger joint, okay? And I see this church and I look at the reviews, and instead of seeing generic 5-star reviews that nice church, friendly pastor, funny pastor, friendly people, nice facilities, great kids ministry. You know who writes reviews like that? The kids ministry leader, the pastor's wife. People that have been at that church for 40 years. Instead, if I see a review that says, I was addicted to alcohol and on a path to be kicked out of my house or be divorced. This church opened its doors on a Tuesday night. I checked out AA. They shared that I'm in no power of my own to quit this, but instead I need to recognize a higher power, and that power is God, who I then learned about actually died on a cross and saved me. And now, through God, I quit the habit. I've been sober for 7 years. I'm now running my family instead of ruining it. This church is the real deal. This church knows compassion. And if you need rescuing and you've tried everything else, this is the last thing you'll ever have to try. 5 stars, right? And then you get the 5-star review there. But how much more powerful is that to get someone to say, this is the church to go to? Not the one with fancy pictures and the city's biggest slide. It's the one that's actually saving people and transforming lives. And that's what I need. I need purpose. I need hope. I need someone to show me a little empathy and compassion. And if that's your church, those are the testimonies you need to share. And the best way to get it in front of people is using those Google listings and using those 5-star reviews. And that's what's going to get people to say, I need this church. Or that's what's going to get people to say, this is the place that's equipped to serve me. Even though they may not use that language. They're going to say, this is the place that gets me. Because they got him, they got her, and I'm just like him or her, and I want what they have now. Remember, I was, but God, now I. I'm like they was. I need the God that they have because I want what they have now. Tell me where to go. What time are you open? And you don't need them to go to your website. You don't need them to follow on social media. You just need them to feel the God's call. Excuse me. You don't need them to follow you on social media. You don't need them to get on your email list. You just need them to feel God's call to go to a church. They're going to search for churches. They're going to find yours. They're going to find your testimonies in your Google profile. The other ways you can share it are those Google profile posts, but those are volatile. Your reviews stick with you forever, for better or for worse. So let's use them for better.